This is Gemara Zevachim, Daf Chof Hey. Rolling on the bottom of Chof Dalet Amud Beis. 4 lines from the bottom again, trying to get the Shiurim up in anticipation of Yontif, so everyone could learn at their leisure. Well, the learning, especially the learning on this incredible Yontif, Zman Simcha Seinu, should be a Schos Refuah Shalema for Gavriel Simcha ben Miriam Ahuva B'Seich Sha'ar Chayli Yisrael. We're holding 4 lines from the bottom, Chav Dalet Amud Beis, and the Gemara finished teaching us, excuse me, that Etzba Kahuna show us that the Avodah has to be done biyad Yamin, with the right hand. So ask the Gemara, but wait, Elha Damai Rava Yad Yad Likamitza Regel Regel Lechalitza Izen Izen Liritziya. Rava learned that there are 3 Gzeira Shavas, Yad Yad, Regel Regel, Izen Izen, each one teaching that what? The right hand has to be used. Lamali, why do we need it? Made the Rabbi Rav Chana Nafka, we should be able to learn it out from that which Rabbi Rav Chana taught us, that since it says kahuna with regarding kamitza, it should be pasha that has to be done with the right hand. Says the Gemara, I'll tell you why. Chad lekaimetz, v'chad lekiddush, kaimetz, excuse me. Within the world of kimitza we begin. One is for the kimitza, but one is the kiddush kaimetz. Now what? Not just the kimitza has to be done with the right hand, but even the kiddush, the sanctification of the kimitza has to be done with the right hand. We look at the bottom Rashi as Rashi articulates. L'kiddush kaimetz b'kli sharet shehi b'yamin sheyoichiz ha'kli shu mekadesh boy b'yadei minus. They have to be holding the kli as well. So not only does the kimitza have to be done with your right hand, but you have to be holding the kli with your right hand. We turn over to Chav Hey and Aleph and ask the Gemara 1 second. But that which we just said, that we need a special drasha for the kiddush of the kimitza, only works if you hold you need a kiddush, that you need a sanctification and a kli sharis. But ask the Gemara, we have Shitas Rabbi Shimon, Rav Shimon Tlobai Kiddush Kayimetz. What about Rav Shimon who holds you do not need? As Rashi again quotes the Gemara Menachos that teaches us that Rav Shimon holds it is kosher even without the kli sharis. And furthermore, says the Gemara, Ulamanda Amar Rav Shimon Namyoy Kiddush, there is a Manda Amar that says, according to Rav Shimon, there is a din of Kiddush. Rashi again filling in the blanks, that this is a machlekes amarayim. What is shitas Rav Shimon? But says the Gemara, Kiddush kaimetz b'small achshurim achshir. But those amarayim are of the opinion that it could work b'small, and therefore yad yad derav alamali. Why do we need yad yad by kimitza? Ili kimitza atzmam dervidabrei Rav Chiyanafk. If it's teaching us the din of kimitza that we know from Yehuda Rav Yechia, like we just said, that for the fact that it says either kuna or etzba. Tamar Rav Yehuda Rav Yechia, my time of the Rav Shimon. Tamar Kra Kodesh Kodshim Ki Kachatos V'Chasham Bala Oivda Biyad Oivda Biyamin Kachatos Bala Oivda Bikli Oivda Bismal Kasham. So says the Gemara, we see that clearly it has to be done with the right hand, therefore the kimitza would have to be the same. So the Gemara wants to know, what do we need with the Gzeir Shava of Yad Yad? So again, really it's a double kasha. Firstly, Rav Shimon holds you don't need Kiddush Kaimetz. If he does hold that according to those Amarayim, it's still Shver. So answers the Gemara, Lai Nitzrucha Ella Lekaimatz Minchas Chayte. You know what you need the extra Gzeir Shava for? The din of Kimitza of a minchas chayte. That what? Sal kedei techamina hol v'amrav Shimon shlayei karbanoi mehudar. Because Rav Shimon is of the opinion that when it comes to the mincha of a chayte, one who didn't have Eiram, Zokt Rav Shimon, there's no shemen, there's no oil. there's no levaina, there's no frankincense. Why? Because of the Yisoid, says Rav Shimon, we don't want the mincha to be mihudar, to be beautiful. Kika mitzvah b'smal, nami titkasher. So maybe in a similar vein, where Rav Shimon is of the opinion that dafka in that mincha, in a mincha that we're not looking for it to be grand and eloquent, maybe such a mincha would be kosher b'smal. Kamash Malan, that's why we need the extra drasha of Yad, teach me that no, indeed, it has to be Bismol. Now, if you're wondering where we got what we just spoke out, that the Din Mahudar teaches us the lack of Shemin and Levaina, we look at Rashi a little bit further down the Amid, right before the Mishnah. Rashi quotes the Gemara Menachos Davav, that really, so why, according to Rav Shimon, is there no din of Shemin and Levaina by the Minchas Chayte? You don't want it, meaning bad Sam, you didn't have Aveira. Of course you should have to bring Shemin. Of course you should have to bring Levaina. But in order to ensure that their carbon of a Chayte is not Mohadar, therefore what? Therefore, if Shimon says there's no Shemin and Levaina. So Rashi just fills in the blanks. So Salka de Techamina, I would have thought Kimita small Tetkashaba. Kamashalon Yad Yad Rabba Kulish Maita Biminachos Mayerdik. And we continue with the Mishnah halfway down the Amid, as the Mishnah says, Nishbach. We have spillage. Nishbach Adam al Ritzba ve'asvai pasal. The blood spills on the floor, and the kohen gathers it up. It is pasal. Rashi says it spills on the tzavar behema during the shechita, wasn't caught bekli. Then it's pasal. So we're seeing here from the psul, we see what you're supposed to have done. You're supposed to have caught all the blood into the Kli Sharis. Now, it is important to note that the Mishnah is just teaching us, if it was Nishbach ve'osfai pasal, if it spilled on the floor, you gathered it up. But now, let's say it spilled on the floor, but there's still more blood splurting, then the pashtus is that you could catch that blood, and that would be enough. Says the Gemara, okay, Tanu Rabbana, let's see Mekayrs. The Kohen HaMashiach takes from the blood of the blood. What does this teach us? Midama nefesh. That the blood that is taken is the dama nefesh, the lifeblood. What does that mean? V'lo midama, not the blood of the skin. V'lo midama tamsis. And not the remnant blood. Only the blood that keeps the animal alive is that which is kosher for the avodah. What is the blood that keeps the animal alive? This is the blood that splurts out right after the shechita. That incredible gush, that's the dama nefesh. The little bit that's going to be left afterwards, that'll be the dama ar. The little bit that will trickle out afterwards, that'll be dama tamsis. That will not work. Continues the Gemara, the pasuk says, Midam apar, from the blood of the bull, dam, me'apar yikablenu. She says you have to be yikablenu from the par, meaning it comes straight from the animal. And that's really the makar, that you can't pick it up off the floor. So says the Gemara, if you're going to tell me that midam apar kidachsev, you understand it literally, midam afilu makes us dam, and then from the fact that it says midam would be even part of the blood, then what would be the kasha of Amarav Sheichetzar Sheikabla is called Damai Shel Par? Again, we just pointed out in the Mishnah that the Mishnah would imply that the psul is for when it comes from the floor. But now comes the Gemara. The Gemara learns from Sukkim Shteit Rav that you have to mekabel kol adam. Shenemar ves kol adam ves kol dama yishbaich. Since you have to get all the blood, so simply, mi dam apar can't be literally from the blood, but not all the blood, because you need all the blood. Ela mi dam apar dam me hapar yikablenu. You have to get it from the par and not anywhere else. Because savar goyrin umaysifin the darshin. The Tanna's brace holds we subtract and we add and we darshin it, and therefore that's how we're getting that. Has to be dam meha par, not mi dam apar, but dam meha par. As you see, we're moving the mem from the first word to the second word. Says the Gemara. Let's dive a little bit deeper. Gufa, 10 lines to the bottom. The first line is vidarshim. Gufa says the Gemara. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav. Ha sheikh gabel es kol dama shel par shenemar ves kol adam bar yishboich. You got to collect. You got to catch all the blood. Ask the Gemara of Abba Shirayim Ksiv. But that pasuk is talking about ves kol dama bar yishboich. It's talking about the remnants of the blood. So could you learn that pasuk is teaching me that all the blood has to be poured? How could that blood pasuk also teach me all the blood has to be do kabbalah, has to be caught? Answers the Gemara, says the Gemara, I'll tell you why. The pasuk is not needed to teach us about the shirayim. Why? Because all the blood is not going to be there, because some is already placed on the Mizbeach HaPanimi. So what are you going to do with the pasuk? It's called Adam Yipar Yishboich. It's going to teach us about the Kabbalah. Rashi, 5 lines into the white line, speaks out. Why don't you have all the blood? Because some of it is plenty placed on the kranais, on the corners of the Mizbeach. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel HaSheichet Tzarech Sheyigba Sakin Lamalo. Someone who performs shchita on the carbon, you have to pick up the knife upwards. Why? So that all the dam, as Rashi says, shalibol dam asakin ala mizrak. You want the dam to drip. You do not want the dam to drip from the knife. Shalo yipol dam asakin ala mizrak into the bowl. So you pick it up. Shenemar v'lokach midam apar v'lo midam apar v'davar acher. Has to be directly from the par. And if it was from the par, but also from the knife, that will not work. Says the Gemara, V'dam sakin b'may mekanechle. What do you wipe off the blood of the knife? What do you do before you do the next shchita? Amar Abaye bisfas mizrak, with the edge of the bowl, ketachsev, kapoyrei zav, that there are golden bowls. The bowls that they use for the Kabbalah, they were utilized as well by wiping along the edges of the bowl. Amar Rav Chisda, Amar Rav Yirmiyah Barava, Sheichet Tzarech Sheyitin V'ridin. Someone who does the shchita has to place, Tzarech Sheyitin has to place, as we turn over to Chav Hei Amid Beis. What does he have to place? V'ridin l'toich hakli. The v'ridin into the kli for the Kabbalah. So the top Rashi spells out what's going on over here. Dinhavi Kabbalah me'abar shapir. Vaytech lavdavka dolev she'ela avirai shel toich hakli. This is the blood vessels of the neck on either side of the trachea. Those are the vridim. Therefore, you have to cut through the vridim, and the vridim themselves should be placed in the kli sharis. It's Marnami, says the Gemara Rav Asi Rav Yechon vridin tzar sheyireh avir kli. So ask the Gemara. Ba'i minei Rav Asi Rav Yechon ha'imakabel v'nivcha soy sholi mizrak actually gi'adam la'avir mahu. If someone is catching the blood, and what happens, and the bottom of the kli falls off, before the blood reaches the airspace So the blood is on top. It didn't yet fall into the kli, and then at that moment, the bottom of the kli falls off. Now, Avir bring us back to sugyas in Shabbos. Do we say that what airspace, which is not going to come to rest, is still considered as if it's resting, or not? So we have something here that's not soifay lanuach. Let's like Rashi spells out as we're about to say, because the bottom's going to fall off, and the bottom falls off, then what? It's not going to have the ability to catch the blood. So says the Gemara, what is the story? Amar Le Rabbi Yechon responds to Nitua, I'll call you a brisa. Talking about collecting the water, the Efer for the Parah Aduma. It's put between the nizaik, the spurting out of the jets, of the spring water, collects the water. The water that's inside and outside is possible. But but if you join the mouth to the place where the water is spurting out, then that which is outside will be kosher. So what do we see? We see that if it's in the airspace, is kimunach dami. Says Gemara, what's your raya? Hi mai. By minei avir she'ein seifa l'nuach. L'kabashli avir she'seifa l'nuach. What's your raya? In this case, it's going to be seifa l'nuach. So says the Gemara, ta'arti kami ba'yaleh. There's really two shaylas. And tipsalayim avir she'ein seifa l'nuach lav kimunach dami. Then avir seifa l'nuach mai. So it's a two-part question. That's why we can bring our case as a raya. Rav Yosef Masni Hachi, 4 lines to the white lines. Rav Yosef learns as follows, like we just said. But Rav Kahana Masni a little bit differently. Chavis ba'yiminei tashalei v'taf upashalei. Excuse me. Chavis upashalei chavis. Excuse me. We lost the voice over here. Nachamol. One more time. Ba'yiminei upashalei. Rav Kahana Masni Hachi. Rav Kahana chavis ba'yiminei. He asked a kasha about chavis. Upashalei chavis. And he had to buy cash by chavis. Rabba masli chavis ba'minei upashalei mizrach. Did he ask about chavis? Did he answer about a mizrach? He had to maida b'mizrach she'ef shaloi b'loi zinoik. That what? It's not possible without the zinoik. Therefore, it's not going directly for the animal's neck, and that's why it's not going to work. But you can't necessarily bring a raya to our shayla. One last shayla, says the Gemara, Tanan Hasam. On the last narrow line, says the Gemara, Nasin yaday raglai, oy ali yerakais. Someone put his hands, his foot, or vegetables in a stream of water. Why? So water should go over it into a chavis psulin. Then the water is possible because it's considered that the water did work. Ali kanav ali gazayzim. But if the water is running over reed leaves or walnut leaves, then it's kosher. Zakla. Dover amakabel tumah psulin. Dover shein amakabel tumah. It's going to be ksherim. Menani immediately on the third by line. Then Rav Yechon Mishum Rav Yisrael Abba Markra says the pasuk Ach Mayanu Bar Mikveh Mayim Yeh Tar. They should be a mikvah and they will be tar. Mikveh Mayim Yeh Tar have yasan al dei tahira tehei. That has to be created through their tahira. Says the Gemara, let's pause over here. It gets a little bit complicated with where the water is flowing over or not. Pick it up from here, B'siyata Dishmaya.